Good morning. Bonjour. Let me tell you the reason why I became a designer. The two main reasons. The first one, sorry, we skipped the first one. I grew up in a family where my father was a designer as well. And literally growing up with him, I learned quite a bit about design, and he exposed me to several things within design: architecture, interior design, product design, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that we used to play when we were traveling together, when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, we would play together and try to identify the cars coming at us. And basically, who's first at identifying the brand of cars and the make of cars coming at us. And that was quite something. Little did I know that I would be learning about brand DNA and design at such an earlier age. But the second reason why I became a designer is that I went to design school to learn the art of communicating via sketches, rendering, via technical drawings of all sorts, so that I could address my biggest fear in life, which was making public presentations. Isn't life ironic? I don't get to sketch much anymore with my function, but I get to do presentations in front of a gazillion amount of people. A little bit about BRP. Most of you may know us with our Ski-Doo brand. In fact, we're the #1 in the world with our Ski-Doo brand, combined with our Lynx version for the Scandinavian countries, as well as Russia. So we're #1 in that segment. Some of you may know us with our Sea-Doo brand of personal watercraft. You may also know us for our Evinrude outboard engines. You may know us for the Rotax carts or the Rotax engines that we make. We're the #1 in the world for ultralight aircrafts, as well as we're producing. Rotax, in fact, is at the heart of many of the products that we make. Rotax is also a provider to many motorcycle brands, well-known, established motorcycle brands. We also make side-by-side vehicles, all-terrain vehicles, ATVs, with our CanAm brand. Some of which we offer in electric models. And last but not least, in 2007, we introduced our latest addition to our portfolio, which is our CanAm Spyder Roadster. I always like, when I do a conference like this, to make the link between what we do within the corporate world as the designers and the design innovation department and the business side of things, kind of creativity and commerce link. And I like to use this quote whereby it used to be a time where Wall Street would actually look at companies that were generating profits. But today that's no longer the case. It's not just about generating profits, it's about creating growth and having a growth story. So that's where we come into play. And if you were to take a look at the Fortune 500 ranking every 5, 10, 15 years, you'd probably realize that many companies are improving their status. Some are maintaining, while others are falling off the chart. Why is that? We believe at BRP, and our take at this is that many of these companies don't necessarily identify the next paradigm. So at BRP, to avoid this kind of phenomenon, we basically came up with our own lexicon, trying to explain and to make sure that we adopt different strategies depending on different life stages. So we've qualified our innovation types. Let me tell you a little bit about our motorized product life cycle. In fact, usually there's a new paradigm, provided it answers fundamental needs in the marketplace, then there's a good likelihood that there's going to be a good take rate on the products. And via sub-segmentations and geographic expansion, it will reach a curve, but eventually it will reach a peak and decline and become what we call a mature market. So great companies try to understand this, and they must plan for it to offset when there's a decline coming. My personal model, which inspires me a lot, is this company, Apple. Why Apple? Because they never seem to stop at reinventing new categories. Every 5-7 years or so, there's a new paradigm that they're introducing. So for me, it serves as a good inspiration. Now, in a company like ours, you have to learn from mistakes that we've made in the past. At some point, we believed that because we had strong brands, because we had strong distribution network, this was the combination to introduce anything to the marketplace. Well, I don't know if you can read, but the common denominator on all of these projects is there's a year in the market and there's a year out of the market, and the two are very close to one another. The Me Too product strategy is not a good strategy for us in our sector. However, when you do innovate and you come up with products that are substantially differentiated, there's a good chance that you'll hit a home run. This is the case with the Ski-Doo, Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo, in fact, we introduced our watercraft way back in '67. The market wasn't quite ready, but we came back. So sometimes there's a question of timing, which may be the case with our neighborhood electric vehicles way back in the late 90s, where the market was not ready for electric at that time. So let me tell you a little bit about our design philosophy. We have 3 key elements that are part of our design philosophy, and when we respect these 3 key pillars, we increase our chance of having a commercial success. Our founder, Germain Bombardier, actually left us with a great inspiration, introducing our first paradigm as a company. Later on, we introduced, this is a competitor's product, which was dominant back in the 80s, and later on, we came back with something that would democratize the industry. That would democratize the industry with our sit-down watercraft, and we outsold our competitor tenfold with this. Now, the second pillar of our philosophy is about functionality, and functionality is about making sure that the product delivers what it's meant to deliver, but small elements of innovation, small elements of surprise, which will ensure that the consumer is delighted throughout his experiment. Anything that enhances the customer experience will interact there. And this also, part of the functionality is also about ergonomics, graphic user interface, human-machine interface. All of this will interact. If it's well thought, simplified, and it becomes intuitive, this will also interact. The third pillar of our philosophy is about the wow factor. The wow factor is about seduction. And seduction is comprised of many elements. Of course, we understand that seduction usually occurs between human beings, but we try to instill sufficient amount of emotional content in the product so that the product is drawing people to pay attention and attract people to the product. And therefore, we will play with colors and textures and materials and so on and so forth, so that the consumers are literally seduced by the product. And let me use one example. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Mini, but if we don't achieve the equilibrium that I'm talking about with all the emotional content, if let's say we altered the proportions of the Mini, do you think this would have been a commercial success? I have my doubts. So let me tell you about a strategy for us to re-spark an industry. In fact, as I said, different paradigm shifts for different strategies depending on the life cycle or life stage within the market. And let me share the Spark story with you. In fact, the context is that we had a mature market in 2010, and what you see on the left basically is the price tag, the MSRP, of the current products prior to Spark, whereby it's $10,000 to $19,000 Canadian. It's a little pricey, and we realized that within this mature market, we didn't have much penetration within the Gen Y market. So we need to do something about that. So we basically revisited the context in which we were involved in the early 90s, and basically tried to understand those pillars that made the market boom at that time, and tried to repeat the story. So our challenge was how do we bring back the affordability and the fun while keeping the state-of-the-art technology, which has driven some of the cost much higher today, with fuel-efficient engines and learning keys and so on and so forth, brake systems, and basically try to go back to the drawing board and conceive something that would allow us to offer 2 personal watercraft for the price of 1. And just to give you an order of magnitude for the designers and the engineers, in our design center and our R&D centers, it meant literally shaving off 50% of the cost of materials, starting with more expensive technology to start with. So the team didn't believe in it. So we had to find an analogy that people would start embarking behind the idea to support it. So we thought of the iPod Touch. Imagine if we were Apple and we had the iPod Touch in our hands. What about creating the Nano, the iPod Nano? Similar in brand experience, however, fewer apps, fewer songs. So it got the mindset of the team going, and basically following this, we started going back to our inspiration models and looking into architecture, looking into nature, looking into other product designs. And we started re-questioning every single component, combining functions with the same part, addressing different elements, coming with lighter, smaller personal watercraft with modularity, the first recyclable, fully recyclable watercraft. We came out with a see-through architecture. We invented our own Polytech material to be able to inject and come up and shave some of the cost of the watercraft. We also wanted something that was highly distinctive to address to this new crowd that we were after, the Generation Y, yet at the same time we wanted it to remain true to the Sea-Doo DNA. And basically we wanted it to be intuitive, simple, and exhilarating. And our achievement is the Sea-Doo Spark 2014, which was just launched in last February, starting at an MSRP of $5,599. So did we achieve our mandate? Yes, and creativity allowed us to achieve our mandate. And the beauty is that, of course, we introduced this in February. It's a little cold here, but we had our counter season in Australia, and it's had a great success in Australia. We've won numerous design and innovation awards, one of which we won today in Australia. We received a Good Design Australia against competitors such as Audi, Honda, and Range Rover, to name a few. Now, creating a new industry is a different story. We have to dig deeper, and we have to adopt a different strategy. Let me share with you the Spyder story. The context, in the late 90s, we're looking at the North American market of the motorcycle industry, and obviously we realized that only 5% of the population actually uses a motorcycle. There's already numerous motorcycle companies offering all kinds of products today, and some of which have got more than 100 years of experience at doing so. We were providing engines in those segments, but we weren't making road-worthy products ourselves. So we asked ourselves, how could we address this? How could we create our own blue ocean? Why not go after the other 95% of the population which does not use a motorcycle? So basically, we brainstormed on the idea. We had to fit a category, however, and obviously the category of motorcycle is defined as having 3 wheels or less, and it has to be a straddle type seating, meaning you have to climb similar to climbing on a horse, for example. Those are the 2 main elements contained in a motorcycle. So we started with an analogy, and the analogy is, how could we provide, if we're going after the other 95% of the population, how could we address the fun aspect of the motorcycle industry with open-air experience while combining some of the peace of mind benefits of what we would find normally in a convertible car, convertible sports car. And basically, this started our process. The team got rolling. I want to bring you back to our annual design forum where this was asked to the teams within our group to address, and let's see the ideation process. So starting ideating, of course, we don't know what we're about to make. We just know we're going on road at this stage. So we're looking to identify the next architecture. And it seems there was convergence towards what we call today the Y geometry, having 2 wheels in front and 1 wheel in the back. We built our first generation of prototype. And this prototype allowed us to try and validate that the story made a lot of sense. But in order for us, once we had the architecture, it was refining it based on ergonomics, based on dynamic behavior, based on the proportions and the wow factor content. All of this needed to work in unison. And basically, you see perhaps 9 to 10 years of development in 1 minute for the creation of Spyder. The beauty of this segment is that for us, it's all incremental volume. Did we meet our objective? Yes, we did. 30% of the people coming within the segment of Spyders are non-motorcyclists. 20% are female riders. And of course, it's only in the period of incubation, and we're starting to see the inflection point, so it's extremely positive for us at this stage. And the beauty is that we're not competing against all the other brands. Yes, in some ways, but we have our own white space, or blue ocean, if you wish. This being said, all of this requires thorough processes. Many of you, if you're working in companies, you most likely know about stage gate processes, whereby you have a definition process, and at the end you have a production date. And of course, you're going to a step approach to deliver up to the production date. But one thing that we realized within BRP is that trying to invent or reinvent or disrupt within the stage gate process does not work. Anytime you get closer to the production date, all the best ideas get put aside. So what we did is we innovated there too. We started our own advanced concept invention process, which allows us to loop back until we see there's potential traction in the marketplace. And then once we see there's potential traction, then we put it in a stage gate. But trying to define and create invention within the regular stage gate didn't work for us anyway. We also have this triad methodology whereby engineering, design, and marketing are debating on products and on consumer needs so that at the end of the day, we make the right compromise for the end user. It's not about, we put our egos aside, and it's about making sure that the end user will be happy with what we offer them. And last, or my last couple of slides, this one's about creativity. Of course, individual creativity is powerful, and we have a lot of processes within the organization to try to identify at the inset the creative capabilities of the individuals that we hire. However, what is even much stronger in terms of creativity is when we create this creative tension, which helps us build on others' ideas and create the kind of things that we see that allows us to paradigm shift. So, great. Last, just want to say that at the end of the day, we may have great processes, but processes don't create, it's the people that do. So I want to honor my team that's behind all the things that we do. So on this, I'd like to say thank you. Merci.